Hello everyone, today we will see cell death, necrosis, and autophagy. A difference between them. In all the three processes, although a cell is being killed, but there is a major difference between these three processes. First one, we will see the basic differences between apoptosis, necrosis, and autophagy. Some people call it as apoptosis also. So, apoptosis is commonly known as programmed cell death, wherein there is a dead skin cells or dead blood cells may be there, or metamorphosis or morphogenesis may occur. During metamorphosis or morphogenesis, the apoptosis may occur. 50% of neuron enter into apoptosis in the early development of a human being, and DNA damage also may occur during apoptosis, or apoptosis occurs during DNA damage also, and virus infected cell also show the phenomena called as apoptosis. Next one is necrosis. Necrosis primarily is a accidental cell death, and apoptosis is a programmed cell death. So whenever apoptosis will happen, no other neighboring cells will come to know whether the cell has died or not. But in necrosis, what will happen if one cell gets damaged? The neighboring cells will come to know this cell has damaged, and the neighboring cells will also get affected up to a certain extent. Next is injury or trauma. Necrosis occurs by injury or trauma. Lack of blood supply. Necrosis may also occur due to lack of blood supply. It causes inflammation or swelling, you can say. So, necrosis is an accidental cell death, whereas apoptosis is a programmed cell death. Next one is autophagy. Auto self. Phagocytosis, you might have heard. Phagocytosis of a cell organelles or a cell occurs. Damaged organelle damaged organelle like mitochondria or ER or peroxisome or intracellular pathogen infection, aggregated misfold proteins, they are degraded during the autophagy. And all these apoptosis, necrosis, and autophagy have different mechanisms for happening. The three occur by various mechanisms. They three have their different mechanisms to occur. Apoptosis occur by different mechanism, necrosis occurs by different mechanism, autophagy by another different mechanism. Now we will further see the difference between apoptosis and necrosis. Necrosis occurs due to, as I have said, necrosis occurs due to accidental cell death, trauma, injury. The cell size increases and contents are released outside. That is what happens in necrosis. But in apoptosis it doesn't happens. Now, here is a clear difference written over here. During necrosis, accidental cell death, trauma, or injury occurs. Absorption of water, cell size increases here. Whereas in case of apoptosis, you can see cell size decreases due to cell dehydration. Here there is a water absorption in necrosis, whereas apoptosis, the cell dehydration, meaning water loss, is occurring in the apoptosis. Now, flocculent mitochondria are seen in necrosis. Fragmentation of nucleus is seen in necrosis. Nuclear condensation is seen in apoptosis. So, apoptosis is nothing but cell breakage, or you can say fragmentation of nucleus, degradation of skeleton, membrane membrane blebbing occurs in apoptosis. Apoptic bodies formation takes place. So cell size decreases in case of apoptosis, whereas necrosis is totally reverse of it. Chromatin condensation occurs there, cell burst and release its contents outside. So endosmosis kind of thing is occurring in necrosis. whereas apoptosis is reverse of it. Inflammation of cell occurs in necrosis. Next, morphological changes which are seen in the apoptic cell. Obviously, normal cell and apoptic cell will look differently, will differ in their morphology. So, we will see what is that difference, how apoptic cell differs from the normal cell. First one is morphological changes seen in apoptic cells. Decreases the cell volume, condensation, shrinking of cell as we have seen above, membrane blebbing, degradation of cytoskeleton, formation of apoptic bodies. Small membrane enclosed bodies contain cytoplasm, nuclear fragmentation, DNA fragmentation, all size of DNA fragments formed, Golgi matrix protein degraded, flippase, floppase, scramblase. These are some proteins which get inactivated during apoptosis. Next one is how to detect the apoptic cells. Although you are able to see all these kind of changes in the normal cell, which turns into the apoptic cell, although you can see these changes, but how to detect these changes? Is there any kind of marker for the apoptic cell which shows that this is the apoptic cell? Is any kind of identity card is weared by the apoptic cell, so that we can easily identify that this is the apoptic cell? So we will see the markers for the apoptic cell or the detection of apoptic cells, which makes easier to identify. Now, detection of apoptic cells. The technique used in the detection of apoptic cells, first one is phosphatidylserine, which is a negatively charged phospholipid which normally occurs inside a cell in the normal cell. But if the cell undergoes apoptosis, then it will flip towards the outside. It will flip outside. So what will happen? The phosphatidylserine will come out of the cell, it will be visible, and such kind of phosphatidylserine we can use annexin 5, which binds to the phosphatidylserine. FITC and annexin 5 we can use, and that will bind to the phosphatidylserine, and we will come to know that this is the apoptic cell. So normal cell, FITC and annexin 5, phosphatidylserine is present inside. Apoptic cell, FITC, annexin 5 will be outside. If the phosphatidylserine comes outside, they will bind to that, and the apoptic cell will look like this. As I have shown in the picture, the apoptic cell will have the pink colored marker on it. Now, so phosphatidylserine also act as eat me signal, that is for autophago phagocytosis. So phosphatidylserine is coming outside, that is again a eat me signal. The cell is telling that eat me, phagocytosize me, so kill me. So that is another way of the cell to become apoptic. Small apoptic bodies will look like this, will be having phosphatidylserine on their membrane surface, and they will get phagocytosized. Second marker of apoptic cell is DNA fragmentation. In normal cell, DNA will be intact. Why DNA will be intact in the normal cell? DNA will be intact in the normal cell because there will be a protein called as ICAD, inhibitor of DNA endonuclease G, that is called ICAD. And this ICAD will inhibit the DNA endonuclease. Endonuclease is a normal protein which will degrade the DNA, which will fragment the DNA. That is inhibited in the normal cell. By whom? By ICAD. So ICAD is inhibiting the DNA endonuclease. That means it is preventing the DNA from getting fragmented. But here in the apoptic cell, this kind of ICAD inhibition to DNA endonuclease will not occur. DNA endonuclease will be active and the apoptic cells will form. Hence, no DNA fragmentation will occur in the normal cell. In apoptic cell, DNA fragmentation will occur. and caspases activation will occur. Caspases are the proteins cysteine and aspartate at their active site. Caspases are the proteins which are necessary for apoptosis to occur. So these are two markers. Now caspases activation caspases activation will lead to degradation of ICAD, and ICAD will not be able to degrade endonuclease DNA endonuclease G. So DNA endonuclease G will be active. It will cleave the DNA at the linker regions and the fragmentation will occur. Now if you do the electrophoresis of such degraded DNA or cleaved DNA, then during agarose gel electrophoresis, you will be able to see multiple bands in the apoptic cell DNA, whereas in the normal cell, you will be able to see only a single band or a two bands. So, normal DNA will show very few bands in contrast to apoptic cell DNA. Apoptic cell DNA will be fragmented, so multiple bands of different sizes, molecular weight will be seen in the agarose gel electrophoresis. Now another technique is there to identify the apoptic cells. The technique is called as tunnel technique. TUNEL, tunnel technique. The tunnel stands for terminal deoxy U prime DUTP nucleotide and labeling, that is tunnel. Terminal deoxy U DUTP nucleotide and labeling. Now use of fluorescent tagged DUTP can be done here to identify the apoptic cell. Use of terminal deoxytransferase enzyme is there. Template independent enzyme means it doesn't require any kind of template. Extended 3' OH of DNA, terminal independent DNA. So normal cell, what will happen? No fluorescence will be emitted through this kind of cell if you add this 3 prime, because 3 prime OH end is available here. No 3 prime OH end is available. So where this DUTP will bind? The DUTP requires 3 prime OH to bind. So apoptic cell will have 3 prime OH to bind. So this DUTP will bind to the 3 prime OH of this apoptic cell. So high fluorescence will be seen if the cell is apoptic. And in normal cell, as it doesn't have 3 prime OH, free 3 prime OH, so there is no place for DUTP to bind. So you will not be able to see any kind of fluorescence in normal cell, whereas apoptic cell will show a fluorescence. Now, third is mitochondrial membrane potential. You can check the mitochondrial membrane potential and identify whether the cell is under apoptosis or not. In normal cells, mitochondria membrane potential is maintained across the inner membrane, and ETC, that is electron transport chain, is normally active in the normal cell. So what kind of changes will be seen in the apoptic cell? We will see here. See, you can see here cytochrome C, which is a electron carrier, mobile electron carrier. It can move. So in normal cell, it is inside the mitochondrial matrix. But in apoptic cell, the membrane potential will get altered. And what will happen? ETC will stop functioning. Cytochrome C will be transferred to the cytosol. Means cytochrome C will come out of the mitochondria. So, presence of cytochrome C in the cytosol can also be considered as, or it is considered as, a marker for apoptic cell. So cytochrome C gets transferred to the cytosol. So this is another marker, third marker we have seen. Detection of membrane potential is done by positively charged dye, voltage sensitive dye. Now this kind of dyes we can use, and what I have shown here is, see, ETC stops functioning. Back and back are the oligomerization activation proteins through which the cytochrome C will come outside in the cytosol. So no H plus will come out, alteration of membrane potential, cytochrome C will come out, and ETC will stop working. Now, detection of membrane potential. How we can, it is done by positively charged, using positively charged dyes and use of voltage sensitive dye. First one is use of positively charged dyes to detect altered membrane potential. How we can use that positively charged dyes is, see, cytochrome C, as we have seen earlier, it is an electron carrier, so it will be negative. Cytochrome C will come out through back and backs. They will the dye will remain negative. So that we can see that is a apoptic cell. And here positively charged. It will be positively charged only. Positively charged. Cytochrome C negatively charged. So the dye is positively charged. Dye is positively charged. Cytochrome C is negatively charged. So the dye will bind to cytochrome C, and that will give a fluorescence. So no dye accumulation in the matrix, and here will be dye accumulation in the matrix. Inside the mitochondrial matrix there will be a dye accumulation in the normal cell, whereas there will be no dye accumulation in the matrix in the apoptic cell. So that is another marker for identification of apoptic cell. Another technique which is known as FACS, that is fluorescent activating cell sorting. So that which is also commonly known as a flow cytometric technique. So fluorescent activating cell sorting or flow cytometric technique, we have to study it in detail, but I'll give the introduction of it. Normal cell, necrotic cell, early apoptic and late apoptic cells can be identified through this technique. Identification, separation or counting of cell is done through this technique. Now the cells are labeled by using various fluorescent tag dyes. Normal cells, unlabeled. Necrotic cells, phosphatidylinositol is the dye which is used. Propadium iodide, propadium iodide is dye used to label necrotic cells. FITC or annexin 5 is used to label early apoptic cell, and late apoptic cell. If you want to identify FITC, annexin 5 as well as propadium iodide will bind to the late apoptic. So necrotic, propadium iodide, FITC, annexin 5 early apoptic cell, and FITC, annexin 5, propadium iodide for identification of late apoptic cell. So these kind of dyes are used for the identification of various stages of apoptic cells. In next topic, we will see how the FACS analysis is done, how the flow cytometric graph is readed, and many other things about the FACS. So thank you for watching. Stay connected, stay tuned. Happy learning.